Story 1. No one has seen any tax benefits because taxes have not been changed yet. That requires an act of Congress. However, the value of investments has decreased significantly. Mine have lost about 20%. Story 2. I lost tens of thousands of dollars in my retirement account in the last month since Trump took office. I am not joking. He is a disaster. For clarification, despite the phrasing of the question, I did not vote for Trump and do not understand why anyone would, unless they were misinformed or influenced by family, friends, or certain podcasters. Story 3. Wasting time. As Trump supporters will tell you, even if, or especially if, this results in a long-term unnecessarily crashed economy, degraded national security, and the loss or degradation of alliances, leading to eventual collapse, they would do it all over again. And they did. 3 times, succeeding twice. Their only regret about January 6th was that the dictatorship didn't start then. None of them knows or cares that the Federal Reserve beat inflation under Biden or that Trump supports ideas like the president influencing the Federal Reserve. These individuals still can't recognize that their party legalized bribery or that they should oppose such actions in any meaningful way. They are unable to comprehend that Musk bribed his way into a co-presidency because they can't remove a financially compromised individual to save their lives. They are unlikely to improve or figure this out, judging by how few of them have ever contacted a Republican congressman with coherent requests, according to their staff when I lobby. Story 4. I love Reddit. I support democracy and strive to respect different views and opinions. However, asking a question of this nature on a predominantly liberal social media platform is unlikely to yield more than a reinforcement of liberal opinions. Do you not believe me? Read the comments. Story 5. Can we stop these posts? No conservative comes here to answer, and at this point, these feel like karma farms. Story 6. This situation is frustrating. He hasn't been in office long enough for us to understand how his tax policy will affect us. Please ask me again next year when I'm actually filing my 2025 taxes. Story 7. Nothing has changed regarding taxes. So what is the point of this question? Why not ask after something changes? Story 8. I didn't vote for him the first time, but as a W-2 worker and homeowner, I expected that with him in office taxes would be somewhat lower. Instead, he restructured the tax landscape in a way that greatly limited the state and local tax deduction, which had the opposite effect of significantly increasing annual income taxes owed by homeowners in Democratic states. This deduction for state and local income taxes against the federal tax bill had existed since U.S. income taxes first began to encourage and support homeownership, and now here we are. Story 9. When will you all stop bickering and realize that it is the people versus those who own everything? You are fighting among yourselves while they take your money and strip you of your rights. Story 10. I see many posts asking if people regret voting for Trump. Although things may not have started as many voters anticipated, it has only been 2 months. It is too soon to say you regret your choice, unless you were uncertain from the beginning. Story 11. It hasn't even been a full quarter. That said, I don't know anyone who voted for him because of taxes. Finances haven't changed, though I feel conflicted and nervous about certain matters at the moment, primarily the tariffs and the extent of Elon Musk's involvement in various issues. Story 12. I see these types of posts emerging as people think Trump voters are remorseful. They aren't. There's glee at all the cuts, all the changes, everything. I haven't met one who has changed their view of him except to see him more positively. It's strange because I come across random Reddit posts of individuals who regret their support, but that's not the case in reality. So either they are afraid to admit it or those are misleading posts. Story 13. I am a financial advisor in a very red part of a very red state where most of my clients work in the refinery and energy sector. The number of times in the past 2 weeks that I have heard something along the lines of, of course I voted for him, but everything he does is insane and ruining my returns is laughable. My response has been, look, you complained about Biden for 4 years, but for the most part, the markets went up and inflation was coming down. Businesses don't like uncertainty, and Trump is acting unpredictably. Your words. So what did you expect? Story 14. No one will know how any of his policies affect taxes until next year. I thought that was common sense at this point. Story 15. He has a tax plan that was available before the election, and everyone making less than $360,000 will see an increase in taxes. Yet, for some reason, the average person thinks he is going to lower taxes. Story 16. Like many others have said, the tax cuts haven't occurred yet, but we are still under the previous tax cuts from the last administration, which made the rich even richer and the poor even poorer. Those are set to expire for everyone except the ultra-wealthy and corporations this year. Yes, the cuts for corporations and individuals like him and Elon Musk are permanent. Yours are scheduled to increase next year when you file taxes unless you earn over $1 million per year. He doesn't care about any of us. He cares about himself and his wealthy friends. Story 17. The question here should be, have the Republicans stuck it to you enough yet? This isn't just about Trump. Every one of those individuals is complicit. Story 18. I did not vote for Trump. My finances are better than ever because I am earning more, and I only had about $200 in investments. This time next year, I will be looking to buy my first home unless something unexpected happens, which is entirely possible. Story 19. I would stop asking. To be a supporter of Donald Trump, you have to be a selfish individual. Their opinion has no value. Story 20. I did not vote for Trump to lower my tax bill, but I am a certified public accountant. You realize that it is 2025 and the 2024 tax returns are due in about a month. Who was president in 2024? Right, not Trump. We will not know President Trump's tax plan, if he has one, and what it will consist of until next year. If you are talking about tariffs, which are an indirect tax on consumers, that is another matter entirely. Regarding business taxes, he wants to reduce them by about 1%, and then further incentivize companies that manufacture products in the United States by lowering those tax rates to 15%. The fallout from that is unknown, but it would likely be addressed through budget reconciliation and might even decrease the price of products in the U.S., especially those made domestically. On a net basis, it is surprisingly not very different from Harris's proposed tax plan if she were elected, at least in terms of dollars. A higher rate but offering substantial credits based on the type of business. He and Vance also want to increase the child tax credit to $5,000 overall, a raise of almost $3,000. I am not sure how much would be refundable. Harris's plan, as she stated, was to have a graduated credit. Trump's plan is more beneficial for families that are looking to grow in the next 4 years or who have children now. Both Harris and Trump want to eliminate taxes on tips, which would be significant tax savings for anyone who works for tips. Trump also wants to cut taxes on Social Security benefits completely and eliminate taxes on overtime pay. Trump's proposals here are significantly better for blue-collar workers, retired Americans, and Generation X/Boomer Americans in general, who would receive a credit if they cared for their aging parents. Harris's tax plan is better for low-income Americans, who would receive many credits, but many of those credits would not be fully refundable, and lower-income Americans already pay virtually no taxes. In my opinion as a CPA, her credits plan needed improvement, as it would not help anyone except to make her look popular. Even worse, despite what people might believe, she wanted to increase the Medicare tax to 5% of income above $400,000. You may not understand what that means or how that works, but Medicare currently has no cap. This would not cap it, but instead increase benefits. It is a temporary solution and a way to postpone the Medicare problem, but it would not affect more than a handful of individuals. What is particularly interesting here is that, based on models, Trump's tax plan would more or less offset the trade war losses in the short term. The trade war is a poor idea, but in order to pass many of these proposals through budget reconciliation, the United States must increase taxes elsewhere. Tariffs would help accomplish that. However, none of this has been passed or drafted. Nothing. The trade war can only go so far before Congress intervenes, and we are 2 months into Trump's presidency. I understand that things look chaotic, and I dislike it as well, but I have to keep reminding myself that we are just 2 months in. Congress is reacting while Trump is making decisions that are making the U.S. look unfavorable. There is about a 50-50 chance this leads to a recession, and conditions may look even worse by July. However, the other possibility is modest but stable gross domestic product growth and, surprisingly, a slight increase in wages, since tips and overtime would not be taxed, along with tighter control of inflation. Tariffs indirectly help control inflation, much like raising interest rates does. Prices may increase, but that is intended to lead to fewer dollars circulating in the U.S. economy, which in turn decreases inflation. It also means that while prices for corn, soy, apples, beef, and eggs may decrease, prices for avocados, broccoli, onions, and cucumbers may increase slightly as the U.S. relies on imports from Canada and Mexico to reduce fluctuations in food costs. Story 21. Well, I don't think most people voted for Trump for tax relief, at least not those you will find on Reddit. Anyone claiming otherwise reveals their tax bracket, so I don't expect many honest responses. Story 22. The confusing aspect of these tariffs is that the president has no power to enforce them. A United States president can only raise tariffs if the United States is at war with countries supporting the country you are at war with. Otherwise, Congress is the only body where tariffs can be raised or lowered. This creates a situation where one can be seen as a dictator, which is the definition. Story 23. You will not get an answer here. This is Reddit. Any conservative who tries to answer your question will be downvoted significantly. Story 24. It's great. The stocks I am buying now are at a steep discount. Time in the market beats timing the market every time. Story 25. It has been weeks. This question may seem silly, given that federal government efforts often take months or years to have an impact that the average American will notice in their finances. Story 26. I see posts like this more and more. The truth is a lot of his supporters could go broke and beg on the street, and they would still say he is doing a fantastic job. Edited to say his not hose. Story 27. Haven't paid taxes yet for 2024. Additionally, the taxes I will be paying are for the period before he became president. My taxes will not reflect any decisions made by Donald Trump until I pay my 2025 taxes. Story 28. Are you trying to create a false post? It is impossible for anyone's taxes to have been influenced since January 20th of this year. Story 29. I was getting worried. It had been a full 30 minutes since the last AskReddit thread. What do you all think about Trump? I'm sure the comments will be full of useful information and the original poster will get the information they are seeking. Story 30. My overall taxes decreased with the tax cuts implemented in 2017. I used to itemize my deductions, and the higher standard deduction was approximately 40% greater than my last itemization. The larger child tax credits also lowered my tax burden. Story 31. It has been about 3 months into a 4-year term. How far down the road do you postpone future problems? Give it some time. Story 32. Trump voters won't respond here. Trump voters don't care because they will happily take personal damage if liberal individuals are damaged too. Trump voters are selfish, self-absorbed individuals who follow the former president into difficult situations. Story 33. Anyone who actually voted for Trump is not wealthy enough to benefit. It does not matter if you are a dentist or a successful small business owner. This is for the oligarchs only. Story 34. I have lost $400,000 in 2 weeks. Tariffs are a hidden tax. If he continues with the tariffs, we will be in a recession in 6 months. He is not acting wisely. Story 35. Import tariffs are simply a tax under a different name. You pay more for imported goods like gasoline, electricity, and building lumber, and the federal government receives the additional revenue. Thus, paying more taxes is going to begin very soon. When Trump said, "We're going to get a lot richer," he was referring to himself, Elon Musk, and other wealthy individuals. Tariffs are how they will cover their additional tax breaks and subsidies. If you think I'm wrong, you are mistaken. Story 36. They will face higher taxes because the tax breaks will only benefit the extremely wealthy, and they will not have access to Social Security and Medicare. Story 37. Hasn't affected my finances really. Time will tell. We aren't even 3 months into his term yet. Ask me in 4 years if you want the answer to your question. Story 38. I am an actual Trump voter and I am trying to answer the question. I voted for Trump for a variety of reasons. Taxes were one of them. Getting rid of harmful regulations is another. Tax policy has not even been implemented yet, so I cannot fully respond to the question. However, I support 90% of what Trump is doing and have no regrets about voting for him. There is no scenario where I could have voted for Harris. I fully support Trump and the auditing of the government. There is a significant amount of waste and fraud in government spending. The government needs to be audited regularly, and I don't believe that has ever happened in my lifetime. Maybe never. The country is in massive debt, and significant changes need to be made. Yes, there will definitely be negative consequences to reducing the number of government employees and enacting tariffs. Things will get worse before they get better, but we must make the government more efficient. Cutting taxes and regulations makes it easier and cheaper to start or grow a business. Companies are already moving into the United States and investing billions of dollars, which means the growth of high-paying private jobs. That is a positive development, but it will take a few years to have a noticeable impact. I am not surprised the stock market is down. Reducing wasteful government jobs and implementing tariffs will be beneficial in the long term, but there will be short-term challenges. I empathize with anyone who loses their job, but many of these government jobs provide little value to taxpayers. Story 39. Trump could order you to pay $500 a day for no reason, and his supporters would happily agree, saying it is an amazing idea. Story 40. Don't bother. I have been hearing them say that it was never about taxes, grocery prices, or the economy, but all about making the rest of us hurt. Story 41. It has been less than 2 months. This is the kind of question that should be asked after a year or two, when the long-term effects are more evident. Story 42. My parents voted for Trump. My dad is getting laid off now, and so am I. My roommate and some of my friends are getting fewer hours. My mom, who voted for Trump, is coming to a realization that things are tough, and she may have been wrong about some things. However, she still defends him, saying he is going to make things better. I don't know if there is any hope for them. Story 43. Our retirement is dwindling. Elon is acting strangely, and the cabinet appears to be a collection of incompetent individuals. The president seems to think the country operates like a real estate business but lacks a proper understanding of how the world works. We are at risk of losing our income, including the veterans' benefits that my husband earned after serving 21 years. Other than that, we are doing well. Additionally, we did not vote for the current administration but still suffer because some individuals wanted to oppose their political rivals. Story 44. Not only will Trump voters not tell the truth about how bad they might be doing, they will not blame Trump ever. It's everyone else's fault that things are so expensive. They will love Trump like a cult forever. Their house could be burning down with them inside it, and they would still say, "Wow, Trump's America is doing so great. I love it." Story 45. To this day, not a single president has made a tangible difference in my life. I doubt that will ever change. Story 46. I love the mental disconnect where people hate taxes but support tariffs, which are essentially the same. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.